Hey, everybody, and welcome to 9-9 Nation, the name of our weekly podcast until we come up with a different name. My name is Evan. To my left is Angela. To her left is Justin.
Hi.
And as I mentioned, this is going to be our weekly podcast coming to you from a group of 9-9ers. This week, it'll be the three of us. Next week, maybe somebody different. Maybe all three different. We'll see. Each podcast, we're going to kind of take some time and talk about current topics, some 9-9 related topics, and just generally talk and discuss some things going on in our world that maybe impact you, maybe impact the company, or maybe we just find overly interesting. How's everybody doing today, by the way?
Good.
I didn't give you a chance to talk other than
That's
just introducing
okay.
yourself.
Yeah, good.
Why don't you talk a little bit about yourself, a little bit about 9-9 and what you've done being part of the family? You're straight to the left, so you get to go first, Angie.
Okay. So my name is Angie, and I have been with the company since about 2004. And I work in the castings department. We're on a daily basis. We help casting directors and clients find talent for their projects.
Fun.
Yeah.
Cool.
And you have a nickname.
I do. My nickname's Sugar
And why do you have the nickname Sugar?
Yeah.
because I'm so sweet. It's true.
Straightforward. Hi guys, my name is Justin. I've been with 9-9 since 2010. I started in the New Faces department, scheduling people for appointments for our evaluations that we have at all of our offices. Currently, I work with Angie Sugar in our castings department, helping out clients and casting directors with any talent needs that they have.
Very good. And as I mentioned, my name is Evan. I'm the COO of 9-9. I've been with the company since 2005, kind of overseeing various aspects of the company, various departments, working with Angela, working with Justin, working with all the other members of the 9-9 family. So super excited to start this up and make this a weekly outing. Thank you to you both for being here.
Of course.
Yeah. So one of the things that we want to kind of, as I mentioned earlier, touch on is talk a little bit about just some things going on in the entertainment industry that we find interesting, that you might find interesting, and maybe even beneficial. And certainly, for some reason, as we near the end of summer here, coming through with Labor Day just less than a month away at this point.
Insane.
Yeah, I think
Where'd
even
summer go?
I just put my pool up.
Up. Welcome to Michigan. And we are coming to you from the corporate headquarters of 9-9 in Bingham Farms, Michigan, just outside of Detroit. One of the things that we are seeing, oddly enough, as we come into the close of summer, at least on the entertainment front, is kind of some remakes that are starting to kick up here.
A lot of remakes.
Yes.
Yeah. The one that I saw earlier today, and I know myself, I saw it a couple weeks ago through like E! Entertainment or maybe even Access Hollywood on TV, was 90210, which...
Blast from the past.
But wait, they just remade it. Like it was on a few years ago.
Right, but this has all of the original people. Well, this has most of the original people on it, minus one. Of course, Luke Perry
R.I.P.
tragically passing away. He's not part of the show. It was filmed after his death. But it does have the original cast coming back. Now, Ian Ziering, who played...
Oh, Lord. Who did he play?
I do not remember his name in the show.
David?
No, that was
David
Brian
was Brian
Austin Green.
Yeah, absolutely. Ian Ziering, whose character we will remember shortly
Yes.
because I put you all on the spot. But he mentioned the other day that the show is not what we think it's going to be. That it's somehow a combo of their old characters plus who they are as people today, which
That's
I don't know how that'll play out. It's on Fox like it was originally back in the day.
How much time has passed? I wonder. Like I'm trying to think. Like when the season finale aired.
I remember
It's
being
gotta be.
10 when that show was on.
I'm not going to date myself like that.
It's gotta
But
be.
I remember being in my teens and watching it during my high school
remember
years.
5th grade for sure because I remember we would play 90210.
Yeah.
Same.
I mean, it was. Remember, it was 902. It was almost. It was one of Fox's real first hit shows, and then Melrose Place followed, which was a little bit more adult. Steve, thank you. Ian Ziering played Steve.
Finally.
Yes.
But so I did see earlier today on a website they kind of talked about the cast, like where they are now, and they showed their age. And I remember Andrea Zuckerberg was always considered to be like the oldest, and she's in her 50s now. Most of them are in their 40s.
Yeah.
Some look like they haven't aged much of a day.
No, Brian Austin Green looks the same.
The exact same.
Kelly looks pretty. I don't remember what her real name was.
No.
I remember her character.
Yeah.
Kelly wasn't. Who was the two main were centered around Jason and his sister.
Jason Priestley and Shannon.
Yeah.
So Brenda and Brandon.
There you go. So, but they're all back. And I'll be curious. I mean, it's tonight at 8 o'clock. It's
okay,
tonight at 8 o'clock.
I have to watch that.
Yeah,
Oh,
so
yeah.
at least to see where they go with it.
Yeah.
If they're not back in the Peach Pit, I think both parents who are now literally in their 70s are going to be back on it. It'll be really interesting to see where they take it. They've even showed there's some of the characters who came in later on. As I always remember Kelly Kapowski. Does she show up now as still a main character because she kind of showed up after Brenda had Brenda, right?
Wait,
her character
what?
was kind of.
You're talking about Tiffany Amber Thiessen?
Tiffany Amber
She was
Thiessen.
in the original?
She was in the original, yeah.
I barely remember.
You have to
her
rewatch
being
it.
Later
in
on, yeah, you could binge watch 90210 the
Wait,
original.
she dated David in it, right? Or no?
She did, but she was kind of dark.
Okay, I
and I think
kind
she
of
had a thing for
remember it.
Brandon or
Yeah.
maybe for Steve.
I kind of remember that.
It's funny because with all the binge watching shows of the old stuff, I'm not sure that 90210 has ever been on many people's radar. But who knows? With the reboot, maybe it will. I mean, maybe that's Fox's goal.
A lot of the other ones were available through streaming services,
Yeah,
but I
sure.
don't think 902 ever was.
No.
I don't think any of them really
I
got rights for
watched
it.
the last one for a little bit.
The middle one, we'll
Yeah,
call it, right?
yeah,
because it wasn't the original with
no.
the Brian Austin Green and Jason Priestley
Right.
and all those with Ian Ziering, who, by the way, kept himself famous thanks to Sharknado.
No,
Yes.
right, yeah.
And Shark Week having just ended, I think, this week, oddly enough. But, there was the original one, and then there was a reboot kind of in between where, and I didn't watch it. You said you did.
I did. I didn't. It didn't really I don't really remember because it's kind of a long time ago at this point. It wasn't really that interesting. They sort of went along with the same kind of storylines as they did, but
the
you
high
didn't
schooler,
feel
college people who are
exactly. But it wasn't
active
like
than-
okay, this is Brenda and Brandon and
Maybe that's
the
why
whole
they're
cast.
trying to make it different. That's what you said.
Well, I'm curious to see though. Are they gonna go 20 years later? Or how do you even segue into that after so long?
Ian Ziering did allude to that it's kind of going to go to a personal, there's going to be that aspect of who they really are in their everyday lives kind of thing. So I'm not sure if they're going to kind of murky the water and just be realistic of hey, I know this character from 20 plus years ago,
Right.
but this is who we are, and we've stayed somewhat relevant for some of you from the entertainment industry side. So we'll see. It was the interesting thing to me also is that it was always somewhat of a cutting edge show. You remember early on, first season or second, where David Silver, Brian Austin Green's best friend, ends up shooting himself right when he finds a loaded gun in the house. So with today's environment, to see what they address as far as I don't know necessarily which way 90210 would swing these days, left, right. Certainly Aaron Sorkin no longer being involved, but it'll be interesting to see if the topics they really discuss,
Right.
especially if they're going to interact with who they are as people, because some of them are very politically active.
Yeah.
The other remake that was announced, I believe yesterday, that kind of has the internet world buzzing a little bit, good or bad, is Home Alone.
Wow.
Yes, the Disney has announced that Home Alone is going to be remade.
Live action?
That's a classic,
like the first one?
though. But it
When
is
you say live
it's a
action,
movie. It
the
is
movie.
a live action movie.
Well, right, because sometimes especially with Disney remaking everything now from
Well, and you mean live action on
Right.
TV?
Yeah, absolutely.
No, they're doing Little Mermaid.
Yeah.
Live action coming
live
up.
action too. There was obviously controversy with that, with the casting process.
And what was the one they did recently? Because there were some issues because some of it ended up being taped because one of the main dancers had injured themselves. Might have been Grease.
I don't.
maybe?
Yeah.
I'm not.
But I remember that there was some it wasn't quite as transparent as it seemed
Yeah.
to be, but it came out after the fact. Not that it's not entertaining and these people are not amazing, performers. But yeah, Home Alone has definitely, when you look at the cast and certainly some of the things that happened to him since then, whether that's Macaulay Culkin, Joe Pesci, it'll be an interesting thought because Home Alone for a lot of people, especially Christmas time, is kind of the staple.
I think they would be better off taking Macaulay Culkin, Joe Pesci, and what's that other guy's name?
Joe Pesci's sidekick?
Yeah,
Yeah,
him.
I don't even remember.
If they just made another Home Alone,
Right.
Like
But
Kevin's an
didn't they
adult,
recently
and if
something with him as an adult where he actually did do kind of
Google
He
did
did.
it.
Google did it, right?
Yeah.
It went
he
viral a
did,
little
and it
bit.
was funny.
Yeah. Well, he's certainly the most well known. If anything else, the whole slapping the face with the aftershave and screaming. I mean, I think that's one of the more iconic scenes from the movie, if not most movies. But he's been the one that most people followed, and not always the perfect path has been taken by Macaulay Culkin.
Right.
For sure.
Is whether that was his parents. Remember when they got the whole thing about his money kind of disappearing?
Yep.
He's had a brother who was in it, but he's also given some great performances over the years, on and off.
Right.
And seems to have regrouped himself. So whether he'll be in it, it hasn't really been announced yet. Whether Pesci's back, what the storyline is, but
Well, they had a Home Alone 3 and nobody watched it. Did you watch it?
What was
Sure.
that?
Everybody knows
There was
Home
one
Alone
after
1
two.
and 2, but there's a 3.
Yeah, with
Where
him?
No, it's not with him. They
Oh.
used another kid that had blonde hair, and it was just terrible.
Yeah.
It just tanked. They thought they were going to keep going with the success, but
You
obviously
recreate the
without
same-
Macaulay
yeah.
Culkin, it's not
it
going
goes
to
to the idea, though, of right, in today's society where you can stream so much of the past, but there's a new generation coming. So look at Lion King, which just came out, right? Lion King was a huge blockbuster, both originally animated, with Elton John's "Can You Feel the Love Tonight," putting him back on the map, so to speak, at least in the United States, from the theme song to today with Beyonce, and more of a, it's obviously digitally created, but there's a large group of new like moviegoers who didn't watch Lion King, and if they have it now, it's streaming somewhere. So to go to a movie and actually see it, it shows that the old crowd will still roll back to check it out. But there's a new crowd, new kids, new whatever, and Home Alone's in that same genre.
But do
It's
you
a
think
children's
they've
movie.
not seen Home Alone?
I think there's
It's
a possibility.
Classic. Like that's when Christmas comes around, it's on every channel, both of them.
Here's the story: how many watch regular TV anymore?
That's true too.
Yeah, see, I'm the type where every year they have a Christmas Story, like on
and that's
loop.
another one.
I would rather watch Home Alone on
Really?
loop. Yeah, that's just how I am. Like,
I-
Rather
like,
be
I
not told
hate
you're
a
going to
Christmas
shoot your
Story.
eye out.
I'm the same way.
Okay.
Like, I'd rather see somebody left at home for their Christmas vacation than giving a kid
At
a
least
loaded
twice.
gun.
Yeah, by the way,
But
the
it's
second
a
time.
part of that because the movie looks so dated.
But isn't A Christmas Story meant to look that way?
It
Yeah,
is.
I think that gives it the charm. Like that's to me, that's like part of like the
I
reason
never
why you
liked
like.
that movie.
Really?
Never.
Christmas
I
Story?
hate that movie.
I can't say it's one of my favorites, but when it comes to Christmas, I think that there's no doubt that it is truly an iconic movie.
Yeah, it is definitely.
But there is,
my
but
go-to
yeah,
is
I
National
believe that there.
Lampoons.
Well,
that's
Oh,
the,
I mean,
that's
yeah.
tough to beat.
That's next
Cousin
on the
Eddie.
remakes, probably.
Probably.
Oh, let's hope not. Let's just hope they do another National Lampoons like they've
Yeah.
been doing. Like
Oh,
Their
But
40th.
I think there is a genre out there, or a group out there, age group whatever to whatever, that says we don't watch regular TV. That's cable's a
is,
thing of
yeah,
the past.
it is.
We
Yeah.
stream, right?
Everything.
Whether that's Netflix, whether that's Hulu, regardless what it is, we stream. So we're not watching it at Christmas. We're not watching it at Thanksgiving. We're not watching it in the summer. So it's why you see these streaming, Amazons just release the whole season.
Yeah.
Because it's why make them wait once a week? Why do
Yeah.
a Game of Thrones where you build up all the anticipation? Just get it out there.
Well, the reason they did that was so you would keep the movie subscription for
Correct.
however
Because
long.
they're paid.
Exactly.
But these other ones are putting in that you're going to bank on, you're a Prime member, or you pay monthly,
Right.
whatever. So
Yeah.
whether they do it now or over a 3-week period, doesn't matter. But it'll be interesting. It definitely Lion King showed that people will return to the theater to watch a movie that is a remake.
Yeah.
well, but it also
Will it
came
last, though?
from being animated to being live action.
So
So
if-
it's a different
Yeah.
movie. It's not the same.
The
And
same.
will Home Alone have the same characters? Will it be the same? Is it
Right.
the exact same premise?
Yeah.
How can you call it Home Alone and it not be similar to a person left home alone?
Well,
you know?
that's what I thought too with the other two remakes, like Beauty and the Beast and Aladdin.
Yeah.
Like, would they change it to where
Aladdin's another one.
you would want to go, like, just see something different, or do you want to go just for the nostalgia?
And how do you go from a cartoon genie, great, well done with the voice of Robin Williams,
Right.
to Will Smith as a live action genie? Like that is, but the one thing as we're talking about this that all of these have in common, these are all what you would consider to be kid movies. Now adults enjoy them and obviously flock to them as well.
Yeah.
But Lion King, Aladdin, Beauty and the Beast, Home Alone, they are usually centered around or for kids, princesses, princes.
That's where you make your money.
It is. Parents, the kids pay and the parents will pay for them to go.
The parents buy the movies for the kids.
Right.
You see it once, that's not enough. I mean, everybody, even us as kids, we had VHS tapes of.
How many times did you
Disney
wear them
movies.
out? You know.
Yeah.
I mean,
And one thing too, though, and we'll move on to the next part, because I think that we're going to continue to see these remakes just as long as they keep making money.
For
whether
sure.
that's live action TV, whether that's remade for a theater, whether that is a TV show that's on the original show, the channel it was on, or now on one of the streaming networks.
Yeah.
As long as it keeps making money, they're going to keep coming.
They're both,
sure.
I believe, Aladdin and unless they've passed it already, they're both on track to go over $1 billion.
Yeah, and I mean, it's as long as it would be foolish business from
For
these
sure.
companies to go away from it
And-
because people want it apparently.
And they have like so much source material.
Yeah.
You're not rewriting anything.
Right.
So
It's not as though you're having to reinvent the wheel for these.
Right.
For these,
You already know
whatever.
it. So you're taking something that was successful.
the
and
casting
reinventing
process is
it.
probably the most difficult thing.
But
Like,
that'll
you
be the
have-
interesting part
Yeah.
with 90210 tonight is whether or not it is different or do they follow the same path
Yeah.
that they were set forth.
Well,
one of the things too that I always
we'll
think
have
of
to look
with
at
Home
it.
Alone and Christmas Story is the homes where they actually were filmed are still standing today and considered kind of iconic. Like
Yeah.
people will flock to see the Home Alone house. People will flock to see the Christmas Story house, and that goes for a lot of different movies. But for those two in particular, as we're talking about remakes, like the homes are still standing.
Right.
If they
Well,
ever wanted
that's-
to redo a
that's-
Christmas Story, it's still there.
That's
There.
only for outdoor shots anyway.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
really, they
Yeah.
just shoot the outside, and then when you go to film, they build a set where it may even look like the face of a building, and then there's actually just steps holding it up so you can stand and look out the window.
A couple pieces of wood in the back.
It's crazy.
Movie secrets. One of the interesting things that I know I read myself earlier today that kind of I found interesting in today's society where information travels so fast and it's so available. There's a lot of websites out there that follow the celebrity news, and one of the things that I read was Gwyneth Paltrow, who I think we're all familiar with as an actress, she's extremely talented, was married to the lead singer of Coldplay, Chris Martin, for years and have children together. They've since separated, but amicably, and in such a way that they were kind of, I wouldn't say unique, but maybe, right? They might have been trendsetters.
Yeah.
That they began to spend time with each other and each other's spouses or significant others. Gwyneth Paltrow has remarried.
Well, they have kids too.
And they have kids,
Yes.
yeah.
Apple.
Yeah.
I think they have another child too, but I'm not sure.
I just don't know Apple. Yeah.
Yeah.
Listen. So, but they're spending time with each other and each other's siblings on vacation.
Yep.
Vacationing as couples with your exes. So, for instance, they were photographed earlier today or yesterday, Gwyneth Paltrow, and I believe her husband's a director, perhaps a publisher, but he's in the industry as well, vacationing on the beach with Chris Martin and his significant other, Dakota Johnson from 50 Shades of Grey and that series. This isn't the first time they've been seen together.
Oh yeah.
Which is, to me, I don't know. I would think that's really open-minded.
It's
and
unique in Hollywood.
Maybe that's
But
it.
it seems
Could you
to
imagine?
But your life's under a microscope. So at the same time, if you don't almost get along and do these things, then you're being attacked in the press.
It almost makes you wonder, like, is it for the career or is it because
That's
you're-
always in the background, right? When you've got a
you're-
paparazzi snapping a camera somewhere. You want to believe it's the best interest
Right.
of either themselves, their kids.
It's probably a bit of both.
but
Well,
there
you
are
c-
publishers involved.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you can see like just like the interactions that these people have, like they're genuinely. I've never like read any bad story about Chris Martin. And
No, if anything, it was considered
Yeah.
very odd that they
Yeah.
were remaining friends, and they were very public about it.
which it goes to show like society now. Like
Yes.
we're looking at that like that's bizarre.
Like, that's odd.
Yeah.
How are these people still friends? How are they still getting along? They're vacationing
Right.
together.
Right. That's
Who
that's
has
a big
dinner with
deal.
their exes?
Right.
With not just their ex and their significant other or husband or wife, but with yours next to you.
Right.
And just holding a conversation. And it's probably a great thing.
Right.
But and you mentioned that you Anna Faris and Chris
There wa-
Pratt
there
had
was
done something
another
similar
group
to this.
too, but yeah, so Anna Faris and Chris Pratt, who recently separated, and this was it like 2 years ago. Well, now he remarried Katherine Schwarzenegger, and she Anna Faris apparently is dating someone as well, and they took their son Jack trick or treating together.
But how great for Jack.
Right,
In my
exactly.
opinion.
Well, especially you're already kind of growing up in the limelight
Right.
of
You
celebrities.
can't hide from that.
Yeah, exactly.
As long
And
as they stay in it.
How old is he, the kid?
Like 5 or 6.
5. So you're already at that impressionable age, and like just making it as a sense of normalcy is. I mean, that's great for them.
I us and the extreme vast majority of this country not living in that bubble, I think it's hard for us to understand and
Right.
relate and say that it's good or bad that you do this, regardless of what this is.
Right.
To sit there and look and say, hey, how are you sitting on a beach with your ex-husband and his girlfriend next to your husband? Like that, for us, we have a hard time with that.
It'd be like
For
one
them-
day if somebody with a camera was following me all the time, and to them that's normal, but to me it's
We can make that a normal
Wow.
thing.
right. I mean, I'm just saying,
You know-
the differences,
Kourtney Kardashian is another one. Scott Disick is
Yeah.
now dating Sophie
Richie.
Ritchie.
Yeah.
And
Maybe. We haven't checked the internet in the last 15 minutes.
Oh yeah, they might have
You
broke
never
up by
know,
now.
Yeah,
really.
in today's world, it moves a little fast.
But she went on a family vacation with Scott and Sophie and the kids.
Yeah.
And
I
she
think the
was-
Kardashians are a whole nother
Yeah, that's a
discussion,
whole nother
and
world.
could spend hours talking about that and the interesting things that they do. In fact, the one where the one who's dating Travis Scott, Kendall,
Kylie.
Kylie, thank you.
Show this crowd watches the Kardashians.
Showing a wedding dress being loaded onto a private
Oh,
plane
yeah.
as she was going to celebrate her 22nd birthday. That she's not getting married, or at least the
That's for
perception is she's not getting
publicity.
married. But it goes
Right.
back to
Yeah.
it's you're just either having fun with the paparazzi in the press or
Right.
you're not. And those who are, it
But
goes a
Gwyneth
whole different game.
Paltrow has never really been in the public eye a lot.
Yeah.
She doesn't really put her public life or her private life out there.
There was a story today about Cameron Diaz, who we really haven't seen in the public eye,
Nothing.
and hasn't done a lot professionally since really she did Annie a couple years ago with Jamie Foxx, the remake of that, another
Yeah.
remake.
Yeah.
But she actually came out in an article in a magazine and talked about how she has intentionally withdrawn herself. Now she's married to Benji Madden from the band Good Charlotte.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I totally forgot about that.
And he still does perform, right? But
Yeah.
not like back in the day when they were at their peak. But
He's no Justin Timberlake.
he's to each
She
their own.
dated him too.
But how she has intentionally removed herself from that world to be healthier and happier as a person.
Yeah.
And that was an interesting thing when we talk about people trying to keep their privacy. Certainly when we saw the pictures of Gwyneth Paltrow and her husband and Chris Martin and Dakota Johnson, like they weren't as though we see some of these people where they're on the beach and frolicking, and
Yeah.
it clearly is within a 50-yard radius. Like they were far and away on a cliff. They were trying to be somewhat away and quiet and have their own privacy.
Right.
So it whether they're trying to stay in Hollywood and be in the entertainment industry and be active and be involved and still have their privacy, or whether they just remove themselves, doesn't appear there's a lot of gray area.
Right.
You don't hear about people who are kind of in the middle,
Right.
especially A-list celebrities.
Well, no, because at that point you've already made it. So now instead of trying to put your face out there, you're trying to protect your private life at that point, because you have no privacy.
And
And
you
if-
have people whose job solely it is to
Is
go
to
take pictures
follow
of you
you,
and
exactly.
make your
And-
private life public.
Yeah.
A vacation spot like that, like you said, they were on a beach, or
Yeah, they were on a beach.
Like it's public enough to where someone could see them, but on the same, it's not like they were going out of their way to make it
They have
obvious.
paparazzi everywhere.
Oh,
They
yeah.
don't have to have paparazzi everywhere. Everybody's got a cell phone now.
That's
A
true.
smartphone
That's
with a
true, and you
15
can sell
megapixel
it.
camera.
Yeah.
And you can
Everybody's-
just sell it. Like, look what I got a
everybody's-
snapshot of.
Yeah.
Whether that's somebody getting out of the Bachelorette one where I think that the guy who was the runner-up, blah, 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 but had dinner with Gigi Hadid, and it was like, what? But he was snapped a couple days earlier by somebody on their
Right.
smartphone getting out of the Bachelorette's apartment.
Yeah.
And that's
And
where we are in today's society.
It makes you really feel for the person, but then also you chose that.
Yes.
So
And back to your point, how much of it is real and how much of it
Exactly,
is
yeah.
not, and by not meaning staged.
Yeah.
If you know I could walk out here and stand on the deck with some other person for 15 minutes and somebody's going to walk by and snap a picture on a smartphone and sell it to whatever outlet, and that's what you're told to do because
Right.
it's
That's
believed
good
to be better.
publicity, yeah.
It's good publicity.
Any
Like you're on the
point.
news.
Yeah.
The news may be a website somewhere, but it's still getting a lot of traffic.
something, yeah.
So
And how quick, like what you were
And
saying.
Hollywood's all about staying relevant.
Yeah.
true.
That's it.
True. Interesting. I saw that with Gwyneth Paltrow and Chris Martin. And I thought,
What's the norm? It
What
makes
is
you
the
really
norm?
think.
it doesn't matter, right?
Neither one of them are they don't care.
They seem happy.
They make it very obvious that their lives and their kids are what's important to them and whatever works. And I mean, kudos to them. That's awesome.
And she still does well, and they still make great music. You
Yeah.
know? Unless you're not a Coldplay fan, in which case they don't. But I think they do.
Or you've never seen a Marvel movie and you haven't seen her in the movies.
Is that what she's in?
Yeah.
I just don't see her as a Marvel character.
I didn't know that either, but I don't see Scarlett Johansson as a Marvel character either.
That's
but
true.
she is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Which one is she?
She's Pepper Potts. So
Pepper
Tony
Potts?
Stark's Iron Man's wife, basically.
Gwyneth Paltrow is Pepper Potts.
Yep.
But ScarJo is ScarJo.
Black Widow.
Black Widow. Okay. Okay.
I just don't see
Who
it.
I just found out was dated Ryan Reynolds. I did not know that.
You didn't know that one.
I did not.
Okay. We could have a whole nother discussion
Yeah.
about Ryan Reynolds and two guys and a girl in a pizza place when he first started out, and where some of those characters are now.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah.
Did you watch that one where he was in a box?
Ryan Reynolds?
Yes, the whole movie is Ryan Reynolds in a box,
Like a coffin?
like a legit coffin, like a box, a wooden box, and he's on the phone. It's one of those ones. It was where the light's shining on his face, and the whole time he's just on his cell phone, and they do like maybe 5 flashbacks, not very many. Because I was thinking, okay, maybe they're gonna show the whole movie and then
Did you watch
come
the
back
whole
to
movie?
this. I did watch the whole movie because by the time an hour and a half passed, I'm like, I'm invested at this point, and I just want to see how it ends.
And Ryan Reynolds was in
What
it.
is?
And
I
he's still in
wonder.
a box.
Slightly off topic, but what's that mark, that time frame? Because it's happened to me before where I'm watching something on TV and I'm like, what is this? And you're
At what point are you just in?
What part are you just so invested you just don't stop?
I kinda think like the 30 or
Aretha
45.
Franklin funeral. Yeah, I watched the entire funeral. Do you know how
Wasn't
many
that like
hours
12
it ended
hours?
up being? It was only supposed to be
It's a
2, so I'm
more
like,
than
okay,
that.
I wanted to see this.
Wasn't it just people
performance.
walking past? Or no, it was
There was
a tribute.
performances, there
Yeah.
were speakers. Tyler Perry was there. I mean, it was a whole, but it was supposed to be over at like 11 or 12, and it went on until 7 p.m.
And you watched the whole
I
thing?
watched the whole thing.
See?
Because
I
I
thought it
was
was
so
fairly inspiring, though.
invested.
You're talking about, like,
yeah, it
Tyler
was.
Perry,
yeah,
an
yeah.
amazing
it
person,
Was.
but-
It was.
The
And
what-
plus, it was here in Detroit, and
really
she's
local.
one of
The
our
nostalgia,
own,
yeah.
so it was. Yeah.
Interesting.
Right. Ryan Reynolds, circling back real quick because I didn't watch. There's 2 of them now, and I can't think of it. I want to call it Bird's Eye because I keep thinking of Bird Box when you said he was in a box. But the Deadpool, where
Yeah.
my brother actually said I should watch it because he said it's hilarious, and I'm not. Like,
is funny.
like how I couldn't name a single person on your Avengers, really, other than Iron Man and Tony Stark. I was like, I don't want to watch it. I don't want to watch that. I don't like superhero movies. I'm
It's
not big
actually
into that.
funny.
And he said it's funny, and
It
I
is.
said no. And the sarcasm is great.
He had
2 might be better than 1, but it
Yeah.
really is.
He had a lot of creative control with it. I
Really?
guess that was the only reason why he
Wasn't he trying to get it made for years and
a
years,
long,
and he was
long
turned
time.
down?
Yeah.
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 The video guys are giving me head nods too. Yeah.
Yeah.
He played the character in an X-Men movie previous to that, and it was pretty well
And he was
received.
Deadpool?
Yes. Yeah. Well, he was called another
Another name.
mutant. but
So
it's-
this was
yeah.
actually a spin-off.
not a spin-off. It's a standalone solo movie, but he
And series. Like,
Yeah.
was it a comic book series? Or
Yes.
Even
Kind
some of
of.
it, and I
That's-
remember like the second one where like he was in a room, like he gets thrown up and he gets tossed up and he comes crashing through and he
Yep.
picks up like a cereal box, and he references like himself.
Yeah.
Right. And I just thought like it was just really clever and witty to know that he did it. Like,
Yeah, he even what's cool about it is, as most people probably know, he played Green Lantern in a separate superhero movie that was a box office.
And by most
bomb.
people, you mean people you're talking to,
People.
because this side of the table did
Yeah,
not
Yeah.
know
the
that.
majority of the United States and around probably watched the movie. It was not good.
But we can name most of the Batmans.
And
Yeah. Val
can you?
Kilmer,
Okay, let's see. One.
Bruce. Oh no, that's Bruce
That's
Wayne.
his
Is
name.
Batman? What's up, Michael Keaton?
Michael Keaton was
Yeah.
the original. Well, not
Okay.
the original. Adam West was the original.
Yeah,
I,
that's
I,
the TV
I
show.
don't even know who Adam West
So-
is.
So you got Michael Keaton, then you got
Val Kilmer.
yeah.
And then who is
Ben Affleck?
Oh, Ben Affleck's the newer one, right? Is
Yeah.
that it?
Well, no, you've got
you got some in between.
you got a couple in between.
There's more?
Yeah, who was the British guy who played Batman? He was the one who, when he gets the Joker with him, he was Heath Ledger.
Christian Bale.
Christian Bale, thank you.
I was
Oh,
waiting for him to
yes.
get it. I was like,
Okay,
just do
Justin.
it.
George
bring us up?
Clooney, the best
George
one of all.
Clooney.
How
Yeah.
did we forget George?
Yeah, but back to that, he had made a lot of like.
Schwarzenegger playing Iceman.
He even made
Not Iceman.
Mr. Freeze.
Was it?
Mr. Freeze.
Mr. Freeze, thank you.
Yeah.
Jim Carrey.
Oh, the
Danny
penguin.
DeVito, the penguin.
Yeah.
Michelle Pfeiffer.
Yeah, the
Catwoman.
cat.
Can you believe those movies are?
No, but Catwoman became Halle Berry.
She did.
After,
but it
yeah.
was Michelle Pfeiffer.
A spinoff.
Yeah.
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 But yeah, if back to those, like he had a lot of creative control with it, and he even poked fun at like a lot of his other performances in different movies.
It's really in
Yeah.
today's, especially at least for me, I don't get into a lot of superhero movies like I mentioned, but like it's a little too serious, some of it.
Yeah.
And even if Jordan is shaking his head at me right now, it's a fact, Jordan. I can't help you. But to see kind of the sarcasm and the real like self-deprecating humor.
Yeah.
Not just about like it's about him and some of, like you said, his performances and characters, and like I just thought it was great. It was entertaining, clever.
He met his wife on the set of Green Lantern.
Blake Lively.
Yeah. who was in a TV show, I think, but I don't remember the name of it.
Gossip Girl.
Oh, okay. Which is also getting a remake.
Yes, that's the rumor.
Yep.
We'll see if they're going to bring Serena van der Woodsen back.
Yeah, and Chase Crawford.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's bring it back to 9-9, why don't we? So one of the things that I do want to make sure we talk about, because on 9-9 Nation, subject to change, one of the things that we want to make sure we do focus on is a little bit about the company. And obviously, the three of us and a lot of the members of the family here, having been with the company for so long, being able to help express some of the importance of a lot of the aspects that our talent get to be part of. And one of them that I know I find so valuable, but maybe sometimes is overlooked, are the weekly workshops. A lot of people attribute workshops with classes and schools and things of that nature, which they are instructional, they are educational. But for our talent, it's a different environment than a lot of people would get if they went to one of those kind of off-site or more involved programs. That's an opportunity to learn a lot, at least a lot of different aspects.
And techniques.
And techniques
Yeah.
in a real controlled environment, but in a way that you tend to not only learn but hold on to, and that's really the important part. So much more of the knowledge because you're doing it with people who are like-minded, right? And I know this week, like most weeks, we've got workshops across the country on a wide range of topics from acting to modeling, kids and teens, and typically taking place on a weekend. But I really don't know if we get enough out there about how important it is for our talent to be involved in these and ways in which they can make sure that they're learning about, attending, and then what that means for them. So.
Well, I think it's easy to forget that acting is an art.
Well put.
So you do have to hone your craft. It's not as simple as just getting some lines and walking in front of a camera and stating them. There's so many things that go into breaking down a script, learning what a beat is, building a character, learning a character's background, everything from even movement and voice. Every time you build a character, you're changing those things because every character moves differently and talks differently and has different posture, and there's just so much. And even learning, like the simple things like crying on cue. It's really not simple. It's really hard. But you have to work through different techniques, and every person's different. You have to find what works for you, and the way to do that is through training.
Right.
Because it's not really something you can teach yourself. I mean, you could read up on it, but it's not the same as working with an instructor and working with peers where you can actually do scene study with them.
Well, and people going on and hopefully getting some bookings in, whether it's even theater or independent films, short films, whatever, learning to hone their craft that way. Because like you said, like each character is different and it is an art. And somebody who walks in and says, I want to be an actor, maybe not having a full understanding of what that really means.
Right.
Maybe they do.
Right.
But being able to come into a workshop and spend 2 hours working with an instructor and working with other talent, and being able to improve their experience and their knowledge and their skill set so that when they do go on set, regardless of what level that set may be, that workshop has at least prepped them for what to expect, how to prepare, which is so super important. What's the old saying? If you're not preparing, you're preparing to fail. Right. So how to prepare to go on set and what that means, and then once you're on set, like how to behave, what to expect. And so many of our workshop instructors, if not all, have such diverse but really deep experienced backgrounds in the industry, and being able to share their own experience and their own background and their own history and their own successes with our talent to help at least give a picture of this is what's going to happen. So here's how you go about handling it. I want to make sure that we really always, and not just now, have a focus on getting it out there, how valuable it is to our talent so that they can attend, so that they take the effort and make the trip to the local 9-9 office, wherever that may be, spend those 2 hours, because they'll walk out of those 2 hours light years ahead of where they walked in.
Yeah, and classes can be very expensive.
You went to school, right?
I did. I went to the New York Film Academy, and I'll just throw it out there. It cost me $15,000. And that's for one acting for film program.
Yeah.
And how long was
in
the
Los
program?
Angeles. It was not that long.
Not
but
$15,000
but even
long?
before
No.
that, you know, when I first started out, the first thing I did was get into acting classes. The first thing I did was worked on a movie, but that was because I got lucky and my dad's friend was working on the HBO film 61. That's how really was my first in. He said, why don't you come on down? So I did. The casting director, who we actually had ended up working with
I
here
didn't know
at
that about
9-9.
61, by the way.
So I went down there, and within 5 minutes, I'm sitting in Bruce McGill's chair
Yeah.
because it was a closed set. So it was just me, and, you know, there are a bunch of baseball players. So it's me and, like, Billy Crystal and Thomas Jane and Barry Pepper and Anthony Michael Hall. And I'm like, okay. And they're like, come on down. So I'm sitting in the chair with all these actors. I'm like, all right, this is, like, easy. So I, like, got to get to, you know, to know them. And they're like, the casting director, the extras casting director is here. Why don't you go talk to her and see if you can be an extra? And I was like, okay. So I did, and they did book me, but I ended up somehow like becoming friends with the head production assistant, and he pulled me and he's like, come with me. And what he ended up doing was every day I would go to set, and instead of working as an extra, they would let me go with someone else. One day I would go with the cameraman, you know, one day I would go with the grip. One day I would just be near the actor. So that was my like first, I mean, I got really lucky, but my first real learning experience in being on a set for 18 hours and getting to see how everything worked from a green screen to Billy Crystal directing to, you know, I remember we were up, I don't know what you call it, up in the box where the announcers used to call for baseball games, me and the camera guy. And a ball's like, they're just hitting them up into the stands. But that was my first learning experience. And then I ended up getting to go to the rap party and all of that. And then after that, it was like, okay, this is what I want to do. Like, I loved every minute of my life for all 18 hours. I could not get enough of it. So the first thing I did was start getting into workshops. And I found, you know, local acting workshops. But they are expensive. And typically, you go one night a week for about 6 to 8 weeks. The classes can range. And then that would be like your first beginners. And then you would go to like the advanced, and it would be the same thing, one night a week. But I wanted so many classes that I was taking them 2 and 3 nights. But I was paying triple the amount to do it. Well, at 9-9, the workshops are included for our talent.
Yeah,
so.
and quick disclaimer, because whether somebody decides to attend a school, whether somebody decides to attend whatever they want and pay however much they want to find their path into the industry, research is important.
For
but
sure.
if you feel as though it's the right place for you, we don't encourage or discourage necessarily any particular location, any particular company, any particular avenue or path. But the one thing that from your story that I find, because we hear about it from our talent who go out on set and the next thing you know, they're doing something different than what they went on set for, is go in open-minded, right? Walk on set, be prepared to do whatever you need to do to learn more. And learn more may be able to get a line, be an extra in background, walk around and learn from the, you know, the boom operator and the guy running to get the coffee and sit next to the producer and sit next to the director. Like being open-minded, the value you get from just watching. There's the old saying that we have here from a book related to Quicken Loans. It says, like, I never learned anything from talking. Like, that's so true.
Yeah, it is.
Just watch and learn and listen. And our workshops, included as part of the 9-9 service on a weekly basis across the country and all of our offices, so many different topics, so many different opportunities to learn. And if you're just open-minded and you walk in and you just absorb and you're just a sponge, you're building, it's great it goes on your resume, it's great it's a skill set and experience, but you're really just building your knowledge. And that's so valuable.
Yeah, it helps you be stronger. Every workshop or class that you attend, every audition that you go for, every booking that you do, whether it's paid or it's non-paid or it's an extra, like Evan said, you never know. They do upgrade people from backgrounds. So just, you know, you may think, oh, I'm going to be an extra, and then you may get pulled to be a supporting role or featured or have a under 5 line. Like, you just never know.
You think you're going to be sitting at a bar, next thing you know, you're the server walking up and putting a drink next down to the main character on Empire. Like, you just don't know.
Right, and starting out as an extra is never a bad thing. It's all, I mean,
any experience is great experience.
Yeah.
And it kind of ties into what you were saying with the celebrities and, you know, staying out of the like public eye, staying relevant.
Yeah.
I mean, you stay relevant with your skills, with trading, with
Well,
everything.
and you meet people too. Everything in this industry is about who
you
you
know.
know.
Connections.
And making connections, exactly.
Yep.
And that's one thing, whether that's on set, whether that's a workshop, who you know can take you, like you mentioned, your father, like knew somebody. Who you know can get you just as far as your own skills. And especially once you start building up a network of people who you know, it really can take you places. So just being that open-minded, and I can't encourage enough, and I know Angela and Justin feel the exact same way, attend every workshop possible. Check your email regularly. Check your announcements in your back office if you're a 9-9 talent. Get the notifications when the workshop is coming up, and RSVP.
Right.
Make sure that you put your name there. It is limited spaces typically. The room, the number of chairs, whatever the workshop is, has a limited number of people who can attend. So making sure you get your name in as soon as possible to reserve a slot, and be open-minded when you walk in and just absorb and absorb and absorb.
And they're fun.
Yeah, they are fun. They are fun. And I think that's overlooked a lot. I
Yeah,
think people,
it's fun.
Yeah.
It's really fun. It's fun to be able to get into a class and kind of just let go and
with people who are doing it too,
Yeah,
because they're all about the same
exactly.
thing. They're there for the same reasons, and that's when you put all that like-mindedness together, and you've got somebody leading the charge who has a great background, a great experience, and who's done it. Like it's a great time.
All that
Yeah.
positive energy, just
Yeah.
all together.
Yeah.
And you get all different kinds of people. You get people of all different ages, experience levels, like just going back and forth with you on what they've done and what they're looking to do. It's fantastic.
And you make friends.
Yeah.
You do, and
You
see
do.
it. You see it even here. Coming back week after week and seeing each other. That's when they see each other, but they're still friends. And then they connect
Yeah.
socially, and then it kind of grows from there. So it's an awesome experience.
Yeah.
Cannot give it enough credit.
Absolutely.
If you have an
Agree.
opportunity to attend a workshop, attend.
definitely do.
Well, so this is our first episode of 9-9 Nation. Thank you to Justin. Thank you to Angela. I think we talked a little bit about some remakes. We'll see
Yeah.
what's coming up there. Again, 90210
I'm
is the
really
most coming.
excited for
8 o'clock
tonight
tonight.
now.
9 o'clock tonight
9, yeah.
on Fox.
Eastern.
9 o'clock Eastern on Fox, following the Love Island finale. Just throwing it out
know.
there. We won't get into it. We won't get into it.
Another one.
That'll be another 2-hour conversation.
Yeah, it could be. But the entertainment industry is an interesting place, whether
It
that's
is.
the couples, new couples, vacationing with old couples,
Yeah.
whether that's remakes and what that looks like. A lot of that stuff happening now.
Award shows. Like
Award shows,
everything.
yeah. And it seems like these days award shows aren't just for early part of the year anymore. I remember when I was growing up, the Grammys and Oscars, was always early part of the year. Now they tend to seem to be spread out. I'm sure it has to do with ratings.
And back to streaming a little bit, like that was like your Monday morning conversation with your coworkers.
Yes.
Like, oh, did you guys see it?
Yeah.
And nowadays people are like, no, I haven't watched it. I'm
gonna watch it this weekend. Yeah.
Like it's like you just looked forward to it. It's crazy.
No, it's a different world with the streaming and just the internet and technology and
Absolutely.
information like it travels.
Yeah.
But thank you both for being here.
Of course.
Thank
Our
you.
first episode of 9-9 Nation, subject to change.
Yeah.
I hope everybody did enjoy this first podcast. Again, if you're a 9-9 talent, please make sure you attend workshops as they become available. Keep an eye out for your email and announcements. Next week, we'll regroup. We'll come back with maybe Justin and Angela, maybe some new 9-9ers. We'll find out. Hope you enjoyed it. Until next week, thank you for being part of 9-9. We'll talk to you later.